All right, it's 10 o'clock here in Dallas. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbi ajma'een. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. And welcome to this special webinar on 7 productivity principles for Ramadan. Thank you all so much for joining me. I know there's so many amazing programs happening, and the fact that you've chosen to dedicate some of your time for this webinar means a lot to myself and the entire Productive Muslim Company team. So Jazakumullah khair. I want to ask, how many of you are new here? How many of you is the first time you're attending a Productive Muslim Company webinar? If you can raise your hand so I get a feeling of how many people are new here. All right, I see a lot of new hands there, but about 20, close to 20 people. Oh, wow, 23 people. Abdullah, thank you. Oh, subhanAllah, thank you. Again, Jazakumullah khair. I really appreciate you making the time. I was just reflecting back how, subhanAllah, a few years back, it was very hard to find quality programs around Ramadan. And now, alhamdulillah, we're blessed by amazing scholars and institutions and programs all over. So I understand that you made a choice to dedicate this time for this webinar. And I'll make sure that this is worth every single moment of your time, inshallah. So let's get started. So today we're going to start off with a story about how I got into the whole Ramadan and productivity. And then we're going to detail about the 7 productivity principles you need for Ramadan. And then I'll share a bit more about our upcoming High Performance Ramadan mini-masterclass. And unfortunately, because of time, I don't think we'll have to do the Kahoot, even though I love Kahoot. But I think for the sake of time, I might have to scrap that last bit out, maybe do it via email, something like that. But let's see how that goes. But let's get started. Now, inshallah, I was hoping this session would be like 60 or 1 hour, but after looking at all the slides, and I don't want to rush things, I'm trying to summarize 15 years of work in just literally like a 90-minute session. So this is as best that I could make it. My promise is, inshallah, this will not last more than 90 minutes, but hopefully a bit less, and hopefully have some time for Q&A, inshallah. We'll also be, if you want to share any, feel free to use the chat. I love to kind of get your chat while I'm speaking. I don't get distracted by it. So feel free to share your reflection, thoughts, say, yes, awesome, amazing. No, it doesn't make sense. I have a question, all that stuff. Just feel free to throw in there. I'm able to kind of see that. Sometimes I might ignore you. I'm not ignoring you. It just sometimes I might have to go with the flow a little bit and then come back to your queries. But I do read the chat as I'm presenting. And then make sure that when you do type in the chat, that you make sure it is for everyone, not just the host and the panelists. For those of you asking, yes, there will be recordings and slides will be sent to you within 48 hours of this webinar. So you'll get an email from us with all the recordings and with the entire recording and the slide, inshallah, so you can actually look back on it and reflect on it and hopefully take some notes from it. And then finally, if you have any questions that you don't want me to forget, that sometimes the chat, things get busy and things get very quick, filled up quickly, use the Q&A box. Just use Q&A box and I will answer your questions as much as I can, inshallah, before the end of this webinar. So for those of you who are new, a bit about the Productive Muslim Company. We are a faith-based productivity and leadership training company. We work with Muslim professionals, faith-based organizations, and even mainstream organizations that have a large Muslim network within it. We do thought leadership pieces like Barakah Culture, the daily routine of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and other thought leadership pieces you can find on our blog. We do B2B work with corporate training, also facilitation of leadership retreats and some of our corporate work. We also do masterclasses, which is our public webinars and public programs that we offer every now and then on different topics, including productivity, mindfulness, wellness, confidence, and Islamic psychology. Of course, we also have our products. We have the Productive Muslim book. Some of you may have come across the book itself, as well as the Barakah Journal, which is something we also have in our store, and Barakah Culture cards and other products that help you live what we call this Barakah Culture lifestyle. And also we do retreats. We do retreats every year. And then, and alhamdulillah, we're back from COVID doing our next retreat in Uzbekistan, which I think is actually almost full. So maybe don't quote me on that one, but the Uzbekistan retreat happening in May, insha'Allah. So that's the Productive Muslim Company. A bit about myself. I am the CEO of the Productive Muslim Company. I was born in Tanzania, in East Africa. I grew up in Saudi Arabia and the UK, and now live in Dallas. Don't ask me how that happened. That's a whole story by itself. And I love to spread this concept of barakah culture. And this is what my life mission is. And I also love cycling and rowing as my two hobbies, inshallah. So that's a bit about myself. And I've seen a lot of you, inshallah, here sharing about yourselves and where you're dialing in from. So I really, again, appreciate you. And I'm hoping that over time, not just through this webinar, but over time, I get to know you even better through our programs, through our retreats, through some of our interaction, other webinars, inshallah. I look forward to working with you all, inshallah. So let's start off with our story with Ramadan. And I'll be honest with you. So when I graduated from from university, I joined a large Islamic institution. I won't mention this name. And I remember it was Ramadan. And when I went, so I was just doing my work, and I went to my boss, and I kind of showed him all the different plans I had for that week and all the different things I was working on. And my boss looked up to me and said, "Mohammed, what are you doing? Why are you working? It's Ramadan. Take it easy." How many of you had the same experience? How many of you had a similar experience where, just sometimes people use Ramadan as an excuse to kind of like, just let go, man, relax. What are you doing? Why even working in Ramadan? Like, just take the back seat. I see some hands being raised. Absolutely. And the other thing that comes to mind is that, studying my own research, and I realized that Ramadan gets a lot of bad name. Like, if you look up articles about productivity in Ramadan and performance in Ramadan, and it's like, oh, the Muslim world slows down and it's a slow month and nothing happens and everything just seems to slow down. And something bothered me about that. Because I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Ramadan, yes, I'm not saying it's a month of work and, you push yourself to work and work all day long. But at the same time, you're using Ramadan as an excuse to not performing our roles. I feel like something is off there. So then I partnered with Dinar Standard, which is a research advisory company in New York. And we did a research. We've surveyed 1,500 Muslim professionals and asking them about productivity in Ramadan. And what we discovered is that 77% of Muslim professionals said that they actually don't want Ramadan to impact their productivity, but they just don't have the practical knowledge, the practical skills on how to manage their energy and their focus and the fasting and the sleep with the change in routine in Ramadan. So it wasn't the fasting itself. It wasn't the actual Ramadan itself that was making them quote unquote lazy. It was just the lack of practical knowledge to help them live a more fulfilling and more productive Ramadan across all their roles. And then a few years later, the Harvard School of Government, the Kennedy School of Government, in Harvard University actually quoted our research, the Dinar Standard research, and it came to an interesting finding. So it said, yes, there is a Ramadan effect. There is a quote unquote drop in GDP or labor productivity with the increase in fasting hours across Muslim majority countries. However, they said it wasn't because of the fasting. It wasn't because of the fasting. It was because of changes in attitudes and beliefs towards work. Do you get that? It's because of changes of basically people saying, hey, it's Ramadan, let's just take a back seat, not do anything, and it's that change. It wasn't the fasting itself. It was changes in attitudes and beliefs towards work. So I want to hear your thoughts at this point in time. What are your thoughts at this point? Like the idea of, number one, as Muslim professionals, as entrepreneurs, as people who, none of us here say, yes, we want to be lazy in Ramadan. We just want to sit back and do nothing in Ramadan. We also understand, I know there's a debate that Ramadan is the month of ibadah, to reach the highest level of ibadah, to give ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as possible. At the same time, we have responsibilities. We have roles and responsibilities to fulfill. We have responsibilities to our employers, to our customers, to our family, to our community. And then this is where the challenge is. How do you balance across all of this? You don't want to miss out on the barakah of Ramadan, on the ibadah of Ramadan, and to be the best version of yourself in Ramadan. At the same time, you have responsibilities. And then sometimes these two sides seem to clash. But it's not, again, as back to the research we came across was, number one, it's not that Muslims are lazy. It's not that we don't want to work in Ramadan. It's because we don't have the practical knowledge to help us get into Ramadan, to really understand how to manage our energy, our focus, our routines in Ramadan. And as part of the research paper by the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, it's not because of fasting itself that's causing a slowdown. It is because of changes in our attitudes and beliefs towards what's important to Ramadan, insha'Allah. So any thoughts, any reflections before we move on? And feel free to, I know that, sorry, this is a webinar format, so unfortunately able to unmute yourself and share. But if you want to type in the chat, what are your thoughts at this point in time? Like, what questions comes to mind, and how do you make sure that this is, insha'Allah, this concept, this idea that we need to bring across these two sides together, insha'Allah, is valuable. I love to, again, I know there's about almost 200 people who are joining us. I really appreciate you all again joining us live, but it's very important, very, very important. Start off saying, yes, that is true. It is, if experiences around me, the change actually blue, it's really hard because it's so common that we say that we become less productive due to less energy of the fasting. Exactly. Fasting is not to blame. Actually, exactly, Farah, I actually find that can be more focused in Ramadan than not wasting time with lunch and coffee breaks. Absolutely. The ideal is to have the same routine outside Ramadan. How do you do that? Exactly. It makes sense, but Hamid is saying that it is our attitude and perception of fasting changes or affecting our performance in Ramadan. Absolutely. Ismail should lay back in Ramadan. Yes. And again, there's a balance there. I want to urge, there is a balance there we need to fulfill. And I hope that we can find that balance together in this session, insha'Allah. So we basically recognize when we did that research, we came across all those papers, we're like, you know what? We need practical content that links Ramadan to productivity without affecting the spirit of Ramadan. Because again, sometimes we can have two extremes where people are like, all right, guys, this is Ramadan. You're going to go all out. You're going to work all day long. You're going to, no more lunch break, no more breakfast, just go all out and be like this super productive workaholic, basically. And don't give time to ibadah, don't give time to your family, don't give time to community. Then the other extreme is like, man, doesn't matter. Just relax. I remember passing by a cubicle of somebody. I won't mention again the institution's name, and literally the guy was snoring on the floor. Literally, he was like laid on the floor and he was snoring. And I'm thinking, okay, listen, I know maybe you're up all night in ibadah and you're up all night praying, but if you're gonna not fulfill your haqq of the employer upon you, there is an element of injustice that you're forming. There's an element of you saying, take time off if you need to. Take some vacation time off, take some time off and rededicate yourself. But don't use Ramadan as an excuse. And that's the thing that really bothered me. People use Ramadan as an excuse to not fulfilling their responsibilities. So I want to make sure to balance between linking Ramadan productivity without affecting the spirit of Ramadan. Because remember, the purpose of Ramadan is to reach what? To reach that لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, to reach this highest level of God consciousness. And part of God consciousness is to be aware of the responsibilities upon us. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us responsibilities, part of our taqwa is to fulfill those responsibilities and not think, as long as I'm doing my ibadah, basically to heck with everything else. That's where we need to make it work, insha'Allah. So over the years, we've basically developed a number of tools and animations. I'm sure how many of you remember the animations? Anyone raise your hand? You remember the cartoons we used to do, the Productive Ramadan cartoons? They're still on YouTube, so check them out. Please do share with your family. They're great for kids. We also did a lot of courses, online courses, the Productive Ramadan course. We also did a lot of infographics as well. I'll try to see if I can find these infographics and maybe send you as an email all the infographics we did about very cool infographics you can share with your family and friends, maybe WhatsApp them. And then last year, Ramadan, we started doing something very unique. We started launching our mindfulness masterclass with Brother Wadud Hassan, really sharing we wanted to make sure people are not obsessed with doing more in Ramadan and focus on being more in Ramadan. We want to make this distinction that don't just do more. A lot of people, we get to do more, even in the ibadah, right? We do more versus be more kind, be more present, be more mindful, be more conscious, be more, be more closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala versus doing more. Like people, let's do it almost like a race. Like let's do more. And then, it's intense basically. So this is some of the work that we've done. And I look back this year, I was like, okay, 15 years, we've been writing, studying, researching about Ramadan productivity. I want to summarize this. What are the 7 things? And I love the word number 7, right? This number 7 is something very powerful in Adeen. Like, what's 7 things that I share? 7 principles. If we live by them this Ramadan, they will impact us to be living a truly productive, and I use the word productive in its widest sense, meaning that we are fulfilling the huquq of everyone around us. We are at our best, spiritually, physically, socially, and we are really making impact, insha'Allah. And that is these are the 7 principles. These are something I want to share with you. Number 1 will be set powerful intentions, and we'll go through each of these in details. Number 2, seek the barakah. By the way, I shared all these in the email. Number 3, manage your energy and focus, not your time. We'll talk about that. Number 4, plan God consciously. And number 5, detach from results. Number 6, have beautiful patience. And number 7, make sure that you review and reflect constantly. I want to pause here and ask you, what is your reaction seeing this? What pops out for you as you see these 7, insha'Allah? Number 4, Kiran. Okay, how to do these? We'll come to this. Number 4, all right. Number 3, what, how? All right, we'll come to number 3. We'll talk about number 3. Number 1, number 5. All right, so I'm talking number 5. Okay, so I'm saying 1, 3, 5, 7. I love you guys are choosing odd numbers. Number 4, Hamida. Okay, plan God consciously. How to do that? Okay. Number 3. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's see. So we'll go through all of these in detail. And that's going to spend the rest of the webinar doing. But I want to make sure that the ones that you really want to focus on, which one you want to focus on, will make it work, insha'Allah. All right. So let's make it work. So let's start with the first one, insha'Allah. Set powerful intentions. A lot of us, we know the hadith of innamal a'malu binniyat, that actions are judged by intentions. And there's another hadith which I quote here, that people will be resurrected and judged according to their intentions. And this idea of intentions is extremely important. I know sometimes we kind of gloss over it. We're like, yeah, intentions, I have niyyah, I have my niyyah for Ramadan, nawaitu siyam Ramadan, right? We all do this like niyyah, but we don't really think about how do we set powerful intentions? How do we make set intentions that drive our Ramadan, that inspires Ramadan, that get us over the mid-Ramadan slump, right? We all face the mid-Ramadan slump on the 15th, 16th. They're like, oh, I'm so tired, right? That drive us through that period and also help us finish strong to the last day of Ramadan. Set powerful intentions. I shared in the email 2 examples of 2 people. Imagine person A who sets powerful intentions. They really focus on making the most of Ramadan. And they put all these intentions in place, and then they die in the first night of Ramadan, right? And they imagine person B who just goes with the flow. Okay, it's Ramadan, alhamdulillah, let's start fasting. Has no real intention other than fasting, insha'Allah, but just goes with the flow. Does not set powerful intentions. Which of these 2 do you feel will be more rewarded for the Ramadan, even though they both died in the first night? They both died the first night. Which of these 2 will be more rewarded for Ramadan? Absolutely person A, right? People will be resurrected and judged. Based on this hadith, people will be resurrected and judged according to their intentions. So imagine now you sit back. This is something that's very powerful in our deen. The fact that you are rewarded for your intentions. Think about that. Imagine, your boss does not reward you for your intentions. Like, show me results, right? Show me your work. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is rewarding you for your intentions, even if you don't fulfill them. And that honestly is like mind-blowing. And from a personal development and from a productivity perspective, that is very motivating, because when you know that you're being rewarded even just for the intention, without even getting to the fulfilling, that just inspires. Maybe I think, well, will not make people lazy. Again, depends. I said set powerful intentions. I'm not saying set wishful thinking. I say, inshallah, well, okay, my intention is that I will finish the Quran every night, right? I'm just setting wishful intention. Like, I know that I'm not going to do it. It's just out there. Versus my intention is to finish the Quran this Ramadan with understanding, right? And you really set those powerful intention, and you know this within your capacity, and you sit and you're going to do it, and you have all the processes in place, and you put all the practical plans. You have set a powerful intention. So powerful intention is made of what? Yes, there's one, the niyyah, the intention. And number 2, you're thinking of all the practical ways to achieve that intention. You're actually setting a plan for it, it's not wishful thinking. Not like, yeah, inshallah, inshallah unfortunately in the traditional sense, absolutely sincerely. So this is very, very important. Now, when I say set powerful intentions, we can say, well, what type of intentions, right? What type of intentions should we set for Ramadan? And this is a hierarchy that I like to share a lot. For those of you who attended my masterclass, they know that this is something is core in our understanding of intentions. This is shared by Sheikh Sulaiman Nadawi, who wrote a book called Ethics in Islam. And he basically said there are levels of intentions. And I want to apply this example for Ramadan. So you might set intention for Ramadan for financial worldly gain. You might say, my intention, my powerful intention for Ramadan is to make $1 million in Ramadan. I don't know, right? That's your intention for Ramadan. You have this intention for purely financial worldly gain. I'm not here to judge your intention. I'm just saying if that's your intention, you are at a certain level. That's your level of intention. Let's say you say, I don't care about that. My intention for Ramadan is that I want to have honor, reputation, fame, Ramadan, right? So I'm going to do things and just get more honor, reputation, fame during Ramadan. That's my intention, right? So again, sometimes your Ramadan is upgraded a little bit, but your intention is not about financial gain, but there is this element of I want things for people to notice me in Ramadan, right? Very subtle, but it's there. Then you move up a little bit and say, I don't care what people think about me. I don't care about honor, reputation, fame. I don't care about financial gain. My intention in Ramadan is to simply feel good, right? I want to feel good this Ramadan. And this is where you find things like fasting, health boot camps Ramadan. No offense to anybody who's doing the health boot camp, but things like, how do you feel good this Ramadan? How do you lose weight in Ramadan? How do you, make sure that you are, developing strength in Ramadan? How do you, it's all focused on the me, myself, and I. How can I feel good? How can I feel good with Ramadan, right? And it's feel good factor. And it's something that we aspire to, something they all aspire to. Okay. And that's fine. Again, I'm not here to say what's good, what's bad, what's wrong, what's right. I want you to decide what works for you. The next level up is I want to feel good, spiritually. I want to have that idea of spiritual contentment. I want to get to feel like I want to feel good. I want to do that. I want to do i'tikaf. I want to do tahajjud. I want to do qiyam. I want to feel good spiritually in this Ramadan. And that's powerful. That's great. And then now you're upgrading your intention. But it's still about you. It is still about you. Then you say, what if, I'll do things even when I don't feel like it. Even when I don't feel like getting up for tahajjud. Even when I don't feel like praying in the masjid. Even when I don't feel like giving charity. Even when I don't feel of reading the Quran, I'll still do it because I'm doing it for the akhirah, right? So you go beyond yourself. Sometimes some people will do things because they want to. Right, they do it because they feel like nice. Okay, I feel like I love reading the Quran, or I love going to masjid. It feels nice. There's a buzz I get out of it. But what if there's no buzz? What if you just don't feel you don't feel it in Ramadan for some reason? What if you don't feel it? Can you upgrade? Say, okay, I'll do it for the akhirah. I'll do it for the hereafter. And even there's still something much more that you can go for, and that is I'm doing it purely for Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's pleasure. Purely for Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's pleasure, right? Do you get this? Do you understand this hierarchy? Like your intention for Ramadan can be, some people start off with from the basic, right? I don't know, like I just want to, for some kind of purely financial worldly gain. And you can upgrade yourself and say, no, what can be better? How, instead of saying, can I be about myself? Start feeling good. Can I do things to feel good spiritually? Especially the top 3 levels, from spiritual contentment up into Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. Those are 3 very, very powerful levels of intention. So that's the first thing. When you set your intentions, make sure you set those powerful intentions that basically you are conscious that these powerful intentions is all about how can I get to the highest level of intention, doing things purely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. And that is the purpose of Ramadan. And that is the purpose of fasting. No one knows you're really fasting or not. No one knows, right? You can be, it could be hiding somewhere, eating a Snicker bar, drinking a coffee. No one knows except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. The fact that you're fasting helps you get to this highest level of intention. But let's not mess our Ramadan and mess our worship by saying, oh, Ramadan, I'm going to lose weight this Ramadan. That's my intention. Oh, I'm going to, I don't know, I'm just going to knock out, I'm going to read the whole Quran over and over again, just so I can check off to-do list, or just focus of honor, reputation, fame. Say, oh, mashallah, you finished the Quran 3 times, right? Or just so I can feel good. Let's push ourselves and say, how can I really do things purely for Allah's sake? Does this make sense? Does this make sense so far? Yes? Okay. All right. So let's get into some practical exercises, because now it's not just about me giving you lots of theories here. It's about being really practical. I think it's one thing you will know about Productive Muslim Company. We are very practical. We want to give you practical exercises so that it works, so that it makes work, inshallah. So let's do some practical tips here, inshallah. And actually, I want you to do it now in this webinar. I'm not going to say do homework later on because I know none of us will have time. I want you to do it now. This is the exercise. I want you to write down as many intentions as you can in 3 minutes. So I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes, and I want you to set down as many intentions as you can. And then once you write down as many as you can, I want you to select 3 core intent, 3 most powerful intentions you want to focus on this Ramadan. And then think of all the obstacles, all the things that will get in the way of fulfilling your core intentions. How will you overcome them, and how will you overcome them, right? So I'll first start off with the 3 minutes. So 3 minutes, don't think about number 2 and number 3. Just write down as many intentions as you can. So I'm going to start the timer, and you'll hear a buzz when we are ready. So 3 minutes on, and I'll be back very, very soon. All righty, 3 minutes is up, and I would love to hear, to read, what are your top 3? Now, whatever you choose, this is the key thing here. Whatever intention you choose, you can say, my intention is to be the best father this Ramadan, or my intention is to write my book this Ramadan, or my intention is to, fulfill certain things. As long as with that intention, you keep in mind this graph here, that yes, I want to be the best father so that I can please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to finish this book so that it becomes a sadaqah jariyah for myself. I want to focus on this project so that I can reach the highest level. So if you can connect it somehow to this graph, that's what I mean by a really high, powerful intention. Does this make sense, inshallah? All right. So whether you're studying, whether you're praying on time, whether you want to have a reading, whether you want to, when you're struggling with eating more mindfully, right? As long as you do any of these things, some of you want to get married, all that stuff, with the intention, you're connecting back to the highest level of the hierarchy, right? Because any intention, even praying, you might be surprised. Someone might be praying so they can exercise. And unfortunately, that's like a very low level intention versus I'm praying so I can connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the powerful thing. All right, so share. So I love that people are sharing the 3 intentions. Also, obstacles. The reason why obstacles are very important, because if you know the obstacles, you'll start thinking how to overcome those obstacles. A lot of people saying, "Oh, my obstacle, my intention is to pray every single prayer this Ramadan on time," for example. Okay, they have that, but then the obstacle could be, I don't have a prayer space at work, or I'm struggling with there's rush hour. I have to go pick up the kids at a certain time, which is prayer time, right? So you start thinking, okay, well, how can I overcome those obstacles? And that way you have a more practical plan versus just a wishful thinking. Okay. So again, to reiterate, if you want a powerful intention, number 1, make sure it is connected to the highest levels hierarchy. Number 2, make sure that it's something that you really want to do, something you really desire. Number 3, make sure you think through how you'll fulfill that intention, even with all the difficulties you might face. I say someone here that, people are my obstacle, for example, right? How to overcome, how to manage that? Can I, for example, mute my phone distractions? Can I find other spaces, quiet space, so I can fulfill this intention? Start thinking and start applying and start experimenting and see what will work, inshallah. Okay, beautiful. Something further, inshallah, we move on. Number 2, connect your du'as to your intentions. So all of you had some amazing, for example, this one here is be more mindful of my own actions. And Dagdina saying, be more mindful, spend more time with my kids, for example, be more productive, work spiritual. So you have these intentions. Can you write down a du'a that you'll make throughout Ramadan as a way to fulfill these intentions? Because one thing we believe as Muslims is that إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, meaning we seek, oh Allah, we seek your help. But we worship you, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, we worship you, but إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, which means we need your help. We can't do this on our own. So as you set your intentions, start connecting dua. Make a dua that's allowing. For example, someone say, I want to detox from social media. All right, make it a dua. Make that, yes, take the practical plan, turn off your notification, remove the apps from your phone, but also ask Allah, remove this love of social media from my heart, for example, right? That could be a dua you're making, for example. Someone saying, I want to be more generous. Okay, Allah, help me become more generous. While you're still giving and trying to donating, but also Allah, help me become more generous and not be making, make difficulty. Exactly. So these du'as is very powerful. I love that you're all sharing these du'as in the chat here. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing as well. And if you find a du'a you really love, feel free to copy it. I'm sure that person wouldn't mind, insha'Allah. And then finally, as Ramadan starts, make sure you set what I call weekly and daily intentions. So at the beginning of each day in Ramadan, so what's my niyyah for this day, right? Just for each day of Ramadan, what's my niyyah for this day? And at the beginning of each week, what's my niyyah for this week? And for those of you who know, that I'm a big, one thing we do with the Barakah journal, we have a Barakah journal here, is that we actually have a section every day, our daily planning, weekly planning. So what's your intention? We don't ask what's your to-do, what's your task list? I mean, tasks are important, but your intention is more important. What's your intention for today? What's your niyyah for today? These are very, very powerful intentions. And for those asking, you can get the Barakah Journal from our website, insha'Allah. So any question about intention, does this make sense? Does it make sense about, is it, hopefully it's practical enough that you want to set powerful intentions. Number one, make sure it connects to the highest level of this hierarchy, which we shared earlier. Number two, it could be as many intentions, it could be any intention you fulfill in any area of your life, family, work, spirituality, but make sure that it's connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And think of the obstacles. Think of the obstacles. Ask Allah, try to overcome those obstacles. Ask Allah for help, and think of daily, weekly intention, insha'Allah. And for those who want to do it further, we have the Barakah journals as a tool to help you do this on a daily, weekly basis. Alrighty, let's move on to the next part of this, of next principle: seek the barakah. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam reported have said, "Atakum shahr Ramadan, shahrul mubarak," right? And he specifically called the shahr mubarak, the shahr of barakah, that has come to Ramadan, a blessed month, right? So the idea that this is a month of barakah. We all talk about barakah. We need barakah. For those who don't know what the meaning of the word barakah, barakah means, it is the best definition I've found. It is the attachment of divine goodness to a thing. Meaning, when Allah puts, some people call it blessing, some people call it grace, some people call it, barakah is like when Allah attaches barakah to your time, you can do more with your time. When Allah attaches barakah to your laptop, you do so much good work on your laptop. When Allah attaches barakah to your sleep, you sleep little, but you feel like you've slept the whole night. When Allah puts barakah in your children, you might have, few children that are just pleasing to your eyes and extremely, righteous children. Puts barakah in your home. You might live in a very tiny apartment, but feel like you live in a palace, right? So barakah is this abundance, this growth, this comes from Allah. So the idea that Ramadan is the month of barakah, that's very, very powerful. Also, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Prophet Muhammad also mentioned, he even taught us to seek barakah. For example, he would tell, when he invite people for suhoor, it's like, come to the barakah breakfast, come to al-ghada al-mubarak, as-suhoor, like the suhoor, the suhoor meal, the meal you have before dawn. There's barakah in that. There's barakah in that meal that you have. Now, this is where something happens that is very important, which is, a lot of us, sometimes we have this weird logic, and I shared this in the email yesterday. We have this weird logic that says, oh, if I sit and read Quran, that's going to take me from work, so I'm going to skip reading Quran and just go to work early. Or if I give charity, but then I'm saving this vacation I'm having in a few months, so maybe forget the giving charity, Ramadan, right? Or I don't know, going to pray tahajjud and then tarawih, but then I have to sleep. And okay, you know what? Forget all that stuff. I'll not do all those stuff because I need to have like 8 hours of sleep. Does that sound common? The idea that we have our own sort of twisted logic about what we cannot do, because we feel like it's almost like we don't believe in the barakah of the Quran, believe in the barakah of charity, believe in the barakah of fasting, right? Some people, unfortunately, I've even heard, which is very sad these days, some people actually will skip fasting because, I have a big presentation tomorrow. I don't want it to mess up. I have a big exam tomorrow. I don't want to mess up my performance. Otherwise, my whole life will be ruined, right? And it's really becoming almost like we have this weird twisted logic in our mind. And I'll make sure that we don't adopt that. We need to adopt the barakah mindset, that there is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he ordained the fasting or Quran or all this acts of worship, we know there's barakah in them. We know there's goodness in them. Even if you might feel a little tired, even though you might feel like, you might not feel at your best, so to speak, but there's barakah in them. And that's part of the process. That's part of the process. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want to punish you with this acts of worship, does not want to make it difficult for you, but he does want to see a bit of sacrifice from you, a bit of effort from you, and then you'll see the barakah come in your life. You'll see the barakah in your wealth, in your time, in your children, in those around, in your work. You're like, whoa, where did that come from? So I think we need to start adopting this what we call barakah mindset, barakah worldview, versus trying to always do this very limited, very myopic, worldly perspective on, pros and cons. And if I do this, and it's going to take away time from this. No, I know that there's barakah in the Quran, and, another 10, 15 minutes with the Quran. Yeah, I'll still go and work on time, but it's not going to make me really affect me. I'm not going to, I know that there'll be barakah me spending more time with the Quran, basically. So seek the barakah. So how do you experience barakah? You can experience barakah in many ways. You can experience barakah literally, meaning that you see some material increase in your sustenance, whether it's growth in your income or some kind of growth increase you face, stability, stability in your job, stability in your relationship, stability in your life in general, continuity, maybe some projects you have that you can feel like it's continuous, it's going on, it's not stopping. You might also have unseen manifestations, things like just feeling deep inner peace, right? Even though things are challenging and there's a lot of complications in your life, but you have this deep inner peace, or you find this ease and facilitation in your affairs. Something that might seem like super complicated to solve, you find easy. Or you might find some non-material sustenance, sometimes ideas, right? You have these ideas, somebody has this amazing idea, the way it came from. That's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Insights, you might be able to see things that others can't see. And those insights are really powerful. Words of support. Sometimes some random person emails you or sends you or calls you, and it's the exact right word or right message to kind of push you forward. And that's also a form of barakah. So these are ways to experience barakah. And honestly speaking, Ramadan is the month to really experience it. I would say Ramadan is, barakah is real. It's not just some kind of, woo-foo thing that's not real. It is real. And you feel it, especially in Ramadan. And I'm hoping that you all, seek it, actively seek it, really look for opportunities to get more barakah. It's like, imagine being invited to a meal, and it's the best 5-star meal ever in the world. And like, no, I don't want to eat it. It's like, what? Like, Ramadan is a month of barakah. You should seek it. You should go and eat at this table and eat as much of the barakah as possible, and try to tap as much barakah in your life, almost collect as much barakah as you can, because this you'll feel across all areas of your life. And I will say that if productivity is about energy, focus, and time, well, we need the barakah factor. We need barakah in our energy, barakah in our focus, barakah in our time. And when we have barakah in our energy, focus, and time, we'll see outcome beyond our expectations. And I feel like this factor of barakah is where a lot of us, we think about, but if I, read Quran, if I give charity, if I fast, I might have less energy, or I might be less focused, or I might have less time, versus recognizing that these things bring barakah. And even though you might have logically less time or less focus or less energy, but the impact, the output, you're like, whoa, it's beyond expectations. How many of you experienced that previous Ramadans where you thought you have to be tired and you won't be able to get things done and things will not go your way, but you look back in 30 days like, whoa, I achieved in 30 days what I could not imagine doing like 3 months or more. How many experienced that? I'd love for you to kind of perhaps share some of that, insha'Allah. Yep, Ahmed says experienced it. Yes, last Ramadan. All right, awesome. Yes, okay, powerful. I love that. In my first Ramadan, I was trying to understand why time was so slow. Absolutely. Like, one thing you do know is Ramadan, I go like, why is time so slow? That's barakah. That's barakah. Absolutely. So let's talk practical tips. Again, I want to make sure it's practical. Practical tip number 1 is that fight the scarcity mindset. Now, even though shaitan is locked up in Ramadan, but sometimes before Ramadan, you have all those panic attacks. Oh my God, I have all this work and I have all these projects and I don't know if I can have time. And you start having this scarcity mindset that there's not enough time. There's not enough I should do. And you start, holding on. You don't want to give charity. You don't want to spend time with the Quran. You fast, you struggle with the fasting. Fight the scarcity mindset. Have abundant mindset. Really tap into the barakah of Ramadan through the rituals, whether it's fasting, charity, Quran, i'tikaf, dua. I'tikaf is a big one, right? I'tikaf, when you go in seclusion for 10 days or even, less 3 days, 1 day, you think, oh my God, I could do so much of my time. And I would just be stuck in a mosque for 10 days or for 3 days or for 5 days. It feels like, quote unquote, a waste of time, right? But you don't recognize that if you do the i'tikaf, the barakah of the i'tikaf is unbelievable, right? So I think this is very, very important. The idea that you do make that sacrifice, you do those mix of sacrifices and actively seek barakah. Have a barakah project. What's your barakah project from Allah? What's the one thing you'll do? Maybe something for the community, maybe something for yourself, maybe something that there's a project that you feel like you're going to give it all and become your barakah project, the thing that you'll pass on. It maybe could be some writing an important article or working on some kind of community work or doing something to attract barakah in your life. And then, and try to think of mindsets, values, and rituals. We always talk about this, that there's so many in Islam, we have so many of these mindsets, like abundance mindset, here, God consciousness, or values like being merciful, being gentle, being someone who's conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rituals like salah and fasting in the Quran. Say, what will I focus on? What can I focus on, inshallah ta'ala? And really, that is where one thing we have, again, we have these barakah culture cards. These are 17, we have 17 mindsets, 17 values, 17 rituals that basically, and you can pick 3 of them and say, okay, this is my focus Ramadan. But again, some of these are very traditional. You don't have to get these cards. You can, things like any mindset, Islamic minds, like trustworthiness, tawakkul, right? All this, you hear these beautiful things like sabr, patience, shukr, right? All these beautiful values, mindsets. Pick 3, pick 2. Say, this will be my focus Ramadan. This will be my focus Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. I want to really attract barakah in Ramadan. Does this make sense? Does this make sense? Again, the idea that we want to make sure as Muslims, like principle 2, if you want to have a really productive Ramadan, again, productive not in the traditional sense of getting things done and but no, productive in this total sense where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses your time, puts barakah in your time, puts barakah in your sleep, puts barakah in your project. Everything you touch in Ramadan is like multiplied and is way beyond expectations. Those can be very, very powerful, inshallah. That's the barakah. This is what is meant by seek the barakah in Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. Alrighty, let's move on to the third. Again, we got 7 to go. So let's move third. This is when a lot of you ask this question. What does it mean? Manage your energy and focus, not your time. There's a great quote by Tony Schwartz. He's the CEO of the Energy Project. In an article in the Harvard Business Review, he said that the core problem with working longer hours, the time is a finite resource. Energy is a different story. Defined in physics as the capacity to work, energy comes from our 4 main well springs, human beings, the body, emotions, mind, and spirit. In each, energy can be systematically expanded and regularly renewed by establishing specific rituals, behaviors that are intentionally practiced and precisely scheduled with the goal of making them unconscious, automatic as quickly as possible. Meaning the idea that there is that energy, right? Time is finite. You have like 6 hours or 24 hours. So time is fine. Now, of course, from our perspective, he doesn't believe in barakah yet, but we know that time, yes, it's finite in the dunya sense, but sometimes the 1 hour in the morning, there's so much barakah in the hour, it can do so much, right? Or that 3 hours in the afternoon, perhaps, that the time for tahajjud, for example, is very powerful. So yes, time is limited in the traditional dunya sense, but we know that if Allah puts barakah in that time, it can expand, it can do so much in your time. But think about energy as well. Meaning what? Meaning that if I could improve my energy levels, I know that if, let's say, your fasting zaps your energy, right? It kind of reduces your energy. But there are things I could do to help improve my energy. For example, simple things like waking up for suhoor. Make sure I delay my suhoor. Some people don't like to wake up and eat that hour, but trust me, that By eating suhoor, you're fulfilling your energy. By eating foods that are actually give you energy, not food that drain your energy. If you eat like fried foods and stuff like that, that drains your energy and you feel tired. Versus if you eat food which are, for example, low glycemic index food, or foods that are basically helps you have longer energy levels throughout the day. This is very powerful. So think about, how can I improve my energy? By taking a short nap. For example, that's the way to manage your energy so that you're not too tired, especially if you wake up so early for suhoor. For example, by just making sure you work on things that give you energy, right? Sometimes, some things zap your energy away, right? So can you rearrange your projects and work on things that actually excite you and give you energy? That's another way of doing it. Things like focus, right? How can I manage my focus? Things like, can I reduce distraction? Can I lock up my phone and turn off a phone? Can I turn off notifications? Can I remove some apps from my phone so that I'm not distracted, right? Can I try to, is there anything I could do? Can I go on a technology fast, even a certain apps fast? These are all ways you can do to manage your focus. So the point I'm making here is that if you want to massively improve your productivity, focus on energy and focus. Focus on energy and focus. But don't worry about the time part. Yes, the things you can do, planning, we'll talk about it, but really energy and focus is where you need to work on. So here's some practical tips, insha'Allah. Number one, measure your energy and focus in the first few days of Ramadan. So the first few days of Ramadan comes in, when you're just getting used to fasting, ask yourself, when do I feel really tired and really distracted? Right? And it's really like, when do I feel high or low energy or high or low focus? Because that's really important. By just knowing kind of how your body is reacting to fasting, how your mind reacts to fasting, you say, okay, when am I feeling really tired? When am I feeling more distracted? What time of day? Then start thinking about, what tasks can I do based on my energy and focus level? For example, really important tasks, really important work, you want to do them when you have high energy, high focus. Things that are not so important, or things that perhaps don't require as much energy and focus, you can start putting things that, at those times. And you basically work according to your energy level. Now, I know for those of you who are working, this might seem a bit difficult because, you have a 9 to 5 example. Your boss doesn't care if you have high or low energy, you're fasting or not. But that's a conversation to have. When I do corporate training, especially with large organizations, I talk to HRs, I talk to managers, like, you need to talk to your employees who are fasting. Ask them, when do you feel high energy? When do you feel high focus? And can we rearrange the work so that you can able to basically work when you have high energy and focus versus when you feel tired? And yes, it might be awkward a little bit, but unless you do this, you're going to hit yourself. You're going to find this really difficult. So align your task according to energy levels. Manage your energy through nutrition, sleep, and movement, right? And we'll talk more about this in the High Performance Ramadan mini-masterclass, which I'll announce towards the end of this. Number two, manage your focus through reduced distractions, breathing exercises, and journaling, right? These are ways to kind of really start ask kind of like, where am I at? What's going on? Why am I distracted? Whether it's external distractions, your phone, or internal distractions, emotions, being upset with somebody. These are things that can mess up your focus. And experiment, right? Experiment. Let's say you experiment with a certain suhoor type. Okay, if I have an egg and toast and a cup of coffee, I feel like I last till 10, 11 a.m. Great. Okay. When I have cereal, by 8 a.m., I'm so tired and hungry. Okay. I know that. So you start experimenting. When I take a nap at this time, I feel like I can power through till 5 p.m. Great. When I don't take a nap, this is happening. When I turn off my phone and put it away, I realize that I'm able to focus much longer, right? So you're experimenting. And that's going to be, is very, very powerful to make it happen, insha'Allah. And some people, again, and I know I might sound a bit controversial here, but explore supplements. There are supplements to help you manage your energy throughout the day. There are, for example, time-release caffeine tablets. For those of you who drink coffee all day long, you can actually have a time-release caffeine tablets. These are safe tablets. You can have them and basically release caffeine in your body over time, for example. And I've asked scholars about, like, is this allowed? They're like, are you sure you can allow this? And ask scholars, as long as you have it before suhoor, you're fine, for example. So that's a pro tip, and you can talk to different nutritionists about that, insha'Allah. So that's some tips here as well. Anything that stood out for you? Anything that kind of does it make sense? Number one, and anything that stood out for you in this session, insha'Allah. So far, we've done 3. So far, so good. Awesome. All right. So for those who have headaches first few days, you might want to drink more water at suhoor. So if you're having headaches first few days, that might be dehydration. So try to have more water, eat more water, inshallah. Awesome. Barakah project. I love that. People work. I'd love to see what your Barakah project is. Okay. Awesome. Measure your high, low energy levels and align yourself with that. Absolutely. Brilliant. Yeah. Sometimes, again, it's not a shortcut. It's again, let me put it this way. You will feel low energy and you'll feel low focus by the end of the day. That's natural. And in fact, if fasting creates that level of almost like that laugh, that weakness, and there's spiritual benefit in that, because you start realizing your weakness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You start becoming more close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you start becoming more as a true slave of God, basically, when you're in that state of weakness and tiredness and like, I don't know if I could do this anymore, right? So that you'll get that. I'm not saying this stuff will help you become like, Superman and just like act normally. You will feel tired, but it's almost like, how do you manage it as much as possible through halal means, through what Allah has given us, so that you are able as much as possible to fulfill responsibilities and also be able to manage and be able to feel the fast as well, inshallah. So I hope that helps, inshallah. Awesome. All right. Number 4, this was the one a lot of you asked about this, inshallah. Plan God consciously. There's a quote that I love from Ibn Ata'illah who says, praiseworthy planning is planning that seeks to enhance one's relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Blameworthy planning is planning that revolves around the self and its appetites, heedless of one's debt to God, as well as God's basic generosity and spontaneous grace, right? Think about that. When you plan your day and you plan your Ramadan, how many of us are planning with the intention that this should improve our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Like you're planning around that versus planning our day as if it's like, oh yeah, I've got Ramadan going on inside here. Oh yeah, I've got to do this extra things because of Ramadan, versus it being part and parcel of your plan, right? Part and parcel of your plan. That's what we mean by plan God consciously. So some practical tips, inshallah, here is I always say this, plan your Ramadan schedule around Salah times. Like open your calendar, and the first thing you do is, okay, let me populate the Salah times first. That's the first thing you do. You populate Salah times. Once you populate the 5 daily prayers, okay, let me populate Duha, the time for Duha prayer. Maybe my mid-morning break, I'll pray my Duha prayer. I'll populate my Taraweeh and Tahajjud, Witr and Tahajjud prayer. I'll make sure I put some Quran time in there. I will have some dua time before Maghrib at a certain time, maybe after sunrise. Let me actually put it on my calendar, like literally put it on my calendar and see it in front of me. Not say I'll do it when I have time. I'll do it there. Then add in time for your family, for work, for service to parents, to community, like really build in that time. Again, planning God consciously. Like you're saying, what can I do to really get Allah's pleasure this month, to really get, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not only He loves us to worship Him, He also loves us to serve His creation. So things like putting family and service to others and service to our parents and community, that's powerful. So adding time for that, really build the time, block that time. And then don't forget to block time out for your 3 core intentions, whatever those core intentions were. Can you spend time on them as well? If you're working on a specific project, your Barakah project, perhaps, put that into your planning. And then this is the hard part for most people, and that is to delegate, defer, or delete other commitments that you can't fit during Ramadan, right? Ramadan comes with its own set of challenges, and you need to start to say, okay, this stuff I won't do myself. I will actually delegate to somebody else. This stuff, you know what? I could do it after Ramadan. And this stuff, I'm done. I'm not doing anymore. I'm deleting them from myself, from my to-do list, from my tasks. I'm not doing anymore. And that way, so you can fit more. And then that's how you actually live balanced more. And you might have to make sacrifices. You might have to say no to things you really love. But again, that's part of the process. That's part of saying, oh Allah, I want your barakah. I want the most to please you. And I'm planning God consciously. Does this make sense? This makes the idea of really planning with that orientation towards if I look at my day, look at my month, look at my week, it looks like this is a plan of somebody who's God conscious. This is a plan of somebody who really has taqwa as their ultimate goal for this Ramadan. And they're working around that, all right? And they're building work around that. Absolutely. And for those who are saying delegating might difficult, this is a pro tip. If you want to know a pro tip, explore working with a virtual assistant. I was like, what's that? So ever since I was in college, and I say this, ever since I was in college, I actually hired a virtual assistant, somebody who would help me with some of the tasks that, yes, I could do them myself, but it saves you a lot of time if to pass on somebody else. If you have you don't have a super expensive virtual assistant, it can be very inexpensive, and literally in a few hours a week. Maybe somebody who helps you, takes away some of that tasks that perhaps is grudge work that's very difficult. Once I was in my previous job, and I was working on this high level policy paper, and I spent a lot of time writing this policy paper. And once I'm done, my boss said, "Oh, great job. Can you just go and format it?" I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I could format it. It took me like 2-3 hours to format it, but is that the best use of my time? I'm being paid a good salary to format a document. Like I could hire somebody else do that, and basically do a better job than me, and basically make it both happy. So that's the idea. Is really, really important. So there are ways to work with. No, again, you have to discuss with them when you're about delegating, especially when it comes to work delegation. You have to discuss with them. Like the way I talk about delegation is, everyone needs to be aware what are the core, what are the things they really need to focus on. And once they know their core areas of focus, core areas of energy, you say, okay, and then start working delegating, and you have come to an agreement that makes sense to both of you. It's not just, I'm feeling lazy to format it. No, I feel like myself, this is the best use of my time. This other person, this is what they do. They are experienced formatting, and they will happily do insha'Allah. So I'll be insha'Allah, make it very powerful insha'Allah. All right. How do you deal with a sudden extra work, maybe which is super urgent? Again, something super urgent is super urgent, right? But again, say no. For saying no, let me share you some tips. For saying no, here's some tips to say no. Number one, say no by delaying things. For example, someone says, "Hey, can I meet you today?" You're like, no, not today, but let's meet in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? Kind of push it as much as possible. That's one way of saying no. Another way of saying no is to shrink the task. For example, say, "Hey, can you help me with this 5-6 months project that they want you to work on?" You're like, I can help you in this part. Maybe I can help you launch it. I can help you in this part. Something like a few weeks commitment versus kind of the whole thing, right? That's another tip. Another tip can be, so shrink it, delay it. The other one is basically delegate it. If someone asks you, "Hey, can you help me with this X, Y, and Z?" You're like, you know what? I could, but I think that person over there is even much better than me. Talk to that person, kind of thing. So kind of almost deflect it, right? Deflect the responsibilities. So this is a way. And of course, number 4 is just say no. Just say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I can't. I know you're gonna be disappointed, but I'm sorry. I have something that's more important I need to focus on, basically." So learn to say no by delaying, deflecting, shrinking, or basically upright saying no, inshallah. Hope that helps. All right, good, Abdullah. All righty. So moving on to number 5, detach from results. This is a hard one. For most of us who are born what I call hustle culture, we are really attached to results, right? Because I put so much effort in. I worked so hard. And because we grew up with what? Every time we study, we got that A grade, or we got that certificate, or we got that ribbon, right? Because we're attached to results. And it's really difficult. And it's not just Asian culture or American culture, it's globally, right? And for those who, read my article, Hustle Culture versus Barakah Culture, I talk a lot about this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He challenges us with this notion. He says, فَرَأَيْتُمْ مَا تَحْرُثُونَ in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, أَفَرَأَيْتُمْ مَا تَحْرُثُونَ أَأَنْتُمْ تَزْرَعُونَ مَا نَحْنُ الزَّارِعُونَ. Do you see that seed which you sow? That seed, that thing you worked hard, you garden, you planted, you worked, you put the water in, you put in the ground. Is it you who cause it to grow? Is it you who makes it grow? Allah's saying, are you the one who makes it grow, or are we the grower? And it's a tough one, because let's be honest, part of us says, yeah, it's not me, but I kind of put all the effort in, right? You want to get to a point where you detach yourself. When things go your way, you say, Alhamdulillah. That's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When things don't go your way, Alhamdulillah, right? Being able to get to a point where the success or failure, you say, it's not me. It's not me. It's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is, talk about a high level of intention. So as you put in all this seeking, you're putting in powerful intentions, you're putting the barakah in, you're planning God consciously, you're managing energy and focus, But sometimes things don't go as planned. Sometimes you miss your suhoor. Sometimes you get to work and your boss is upset with you. Sometimes your family's upset with you. Sometimes like things happen. You're like, like I put all of this effort in. You tried so hard with your campaign or project and just did not succeed. Detach from results. Focus on I love that. Focus on the process. You're, as a Muslim, as a believer, you are a slave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not the master. You have a master. He'll take care of the results. He wants to see from you that your intention, what's your intention, and see effort in action, right? That is, if you can adopt this, whoo-wee, it's powerful. I call this the gardener mindset, right? The gardener mindset. You plant, you work hard, but you cannot guarantee the fruits. Versus the carpenter who's like, oh, it has to be this perfect. And if it's not perfect, I'm going to get mad, right? It's tough. I understand, especially if you're a parent, right? For those of kids, a lot of us, we put so much effort because we want our kids to be in a certain way. And if they don't turn out a certain way, we get disappointed because a lot of us are carpenters, right? So make sure you adopt the gardener mindset and not the carpenter mindset. Yes. So Jazakallah khair for sharing that, Ted. Absolutely. So practical tips. Let's go. Practical tips with adopting barakah mindset. Detachment results. Write an intention list versus to-do list. This is why coming back to intentions. I don't write to-do lists anymore. Actually, I don't know if you can see the writing on this wall. I write my intention for this week. This is why intention for this, my niyyah. This is my niyyah. I have no guarantee what's happening this week will happen this week. It might happen, might not happen. But it's my niyyah. It's my intention. This is my intention for this week. If you make it happen, it's from you. If you don't make it happen, alhamdulillah. I'll put all the effort. I'll try hard. I'll work hard. I'll come to office. I'll do my best. But I can't guarantee it. And it's such a relief versus being a stressful thing. Like, oh my God, I got the 60 things on my to-do list. I got to make it down, do it. Look for the khair, even in bad outcomes. And I know it's hard. And then that's why it's mindset of fiha khair. And something like my wife and I keep practicing. Every time something happens that we don't like, we're like, fiha khair. There's khair in this. We don't know, we don't understand it, but there's khair in this. You missed your flight, fiha khair. You missed the deadline, fiha khair. There's something happened. Someone came and shouted in your face, fiha khair. There's khair there somewhere. There's goodness in there somewhere. And that mindset will help you become much more relaxed in Ramadan, but also helps you being more focused in Ramadan, inshallah. If things go your way, say alhamdulillah, it's not from you. And this, don't be like Qarun. Qarun said, oh, it's from me. I'm the one who's very smart. I made all this wealth myself. I worked so hard. It's not from you. You finished the Quran 10 times, alhamdulillah, it's not from you. You went to Masjid Taraweeh every single night, alhamdulillah, it's not from you. You fasted every single day and you were this amazing, perfect Muslim, alhamdulillah, it's not from you. It's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very, very powerful. And then if things don't go according to plan, alhamdulillah, all right, that you need to do, you can do things differently, inshallah. Right? Like, okay, what should I do differently? Maybe this project failed. Okay, what happened? Let me check my intention again. Let me check what happened wrong. Can I ask a mentor? Where can I go, inshallah? Those make it work, inshallah. And finally, express gratitude. Even if results outcome are not expected. A mentor of mine who I really admire, he said every day he'll pray 2 rak'ahs, thanking Allah for something specific that happened that day for him. So he'll just do 2 rak'ahs, just thank Allah for something specific happened that day for him. And I felt like that was very beautiful. Like he was very intentional about being grateful and not being attached to results, inshallah. Does this make sense? I know it's a lot. I know it's overwhelming, but does this make sense at least? Fiha khair means there is good in this. There is good in this. There's awesome. All righty. Okay, number 6. Kind of attached to the previous detachment result, because one thing to help you detach from results is to have beautiful patience. Have beautiful patience. And it's not about sometimes when it sounds sabr or patience, it's like, oh, I kind of like giving up, being almost like defeatist. No, beautiful patience is about persevering. It's about pushing, and it's about, when things don't go your way, like this verse says, that we will test you, right? We will test you with fear and hunger and loss of property, loss of lives and crops. The crops here could be, loss of your labor. You put so much work in, but you don't get the results. But Allah says to Muhammad, give good news those who are steadfast, those who are patient, those who things don't go their way. When there's a calamity, they come back to that intention. And this is of Allah. We belong to Allah. Excuse me. And we shall return. Right? Having beautiful patience with dealing with these situations you're in, that is going to be very powerful. Right? That's the powerful thing. So one way to develop practical tips here is manage your mini frustrations. All of us have mini frustrations, like the coffee wasn't done properly, your kids were in a certain way, your spouse acting this way, look, something happened. Those mini frustrations happen, those mini stresses. Really make sure you keep them in check and say, you know what, because there's a famous saying, إِنَّمَا الصَّبْرُ بِالتَّصَبُّرِ وَإِنَّمَا الْحِلْمُ بِالتَّحَلُّمِ, that to be patient means that you have to practice patience. When you have if these little things kind of make you lose your mind, make you get upset. Oh my God, where's my coffee? Why is my coffee not ready? Why? You get really upset with the small stuff. Then how can you handle the big stuff, right? And if you're not forbearing and don't have this hilm for the small stuff, then how can you have hilm for the big stuff? So manage your mini frustrations. Repeat one thing we're taught, if someone says to you something that hurts you or makes you upset, so Allahumma inni saim, or Allah, I'm fasting. So whenever you feel triggered, let's say, I don't know, something, either your family or your work or your boss says something just really triggers you, Allahumma inni saim, Allahumma inni saim. Kind of like, I'm fasting, right? Is very important. Yes, yeah, they derail everyone. The small mini frustrations, they kind of bother you, exactly. So just saying, this is part of me, I want to develop beautiful patience. Well, I have to start with small stuff, even though it's not big things, but we're human beings. So many manifestations. Oh Allah, Allahumma inni saim, Allahumma inni saim. Oh Allah, I'm fasting. One thing I say is roll with the punches, right? We've all had those bad Ramadan days. You wake up late, so not only miss suhoor, you miss fajr, right? And you're feeling, really guilty. And then you get to work late, and there's a bad traffic jam, and you come back, iftar is like I won't say horrible, but it's not the most palatable iftar. And then the imam is taking so long for tarawih, he's so tired. Like everything just goes wrong that day, right? And those bad Ramadan days, I go roll the punches. Meaning that, you just gotta be like, breathe in and just work with that. It's like, okay, alhamdulillah, fiya khair. I've got to develop beautiful patience, right? Another thing is to recognize is that I'm the slave of the Most High, right? One way to help you develop beautiful patience and not get into this animalistic, dog eat dog world is saying, I am the slave of the Most High. Let me give you an example. If tomorrow you're hired as the ambassador for your country, right? Suddenly, okay, you have to act a certain way because you're now the ambassador. Everyone kind of sees you. Everyone kind of notices you. Why? Because no, you're not representing yourself. You're representing your nation, right? Your country, your home, or wherever, back home is. When you say, I am the slave of the Most High, you are representing Allah. Basically, you're Allah's Khalif on this earth. So if you're his slave on this earth, you got to act like one. If you're getting frustrated because iftar wasn't great, or because you missed your suhoor, or because some small thing happened, then you're not acting like at this highest level. You're not acting at this highest level. Like you're acting as somebody who is this beautiful human being Allah is trying to develop. So elevate your status, develop a spiritual, what Hafsa Adham talks about, called spiritually centered confidence versus, ego-led, like, oh, I'm smart. No, I have this confidence because I'm attached and I'm fasting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a certain haiba or certain like almost glow that comes someone who's fasting, right? You notice someone who's fasting, there's a certain glow that comes to them. I have non-Muslim friends, like when you guys are fasting, I notice that there's a certain glow that you guys have that tells me this is like Ramadan, like, you certain demeanor. Elevate your status can be very, very powerful, inshallah. And a pro tip, when you feel you're going to lose it, I know sometimes, we're human beings, and sometimes you feel like, oh my God, I'm going to lose it, right? And you feel like that's it. I'm going to lose it. Breathe deeply. If you can, remove yourself from the situation, go outside or something, do so, and cling on dua. Say, Allah, help me. Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Just like really cling on dua and kind of hold on, because you feel like my nafs, myself cannot handle this. I need almost like Allah's assistance to grant me the strength. It's almost like when Musa alayhi salam's mother, she had to throw Musa into the sea, into the river. And then she, as وَلَقَدْ كَانَتْ تُبْدِي like لَوْلَا رَبَطْنَا عَلَى قَلْبِهَا, like she was about to almost like scream and try to go save her son. لَوْلَا رَبَطْنَا عَلى قَلْبِهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kind of tied, like held her down, kind of help to kind of control her in self, because she's a mother in the end. And that's when then Allah saved from that situation. So breathe deeply and make it happen. Okay. Awesome. Beautiful. I love what you guys are sharing here as well. Okay. And last but not least, and this is really importance of constant review and reflect, right? As Umar Khattab reminds us, hold yourselves accountable before you are held accountable, and evaluate yourself before you're evaluated, for the reckoning will be easier upon you tomorrow if you hold yourselves accountable today, right? So really hold yourself accountable and really just kind of reflect upon that, inshallah. So some practical tips here: carry a journal that capture your moments of review and reflection. So basically, just if you don't journal normally, let's say someone doesn't journal, then just say, I'm gonna for 30 days Ramadan, I'm gonna journal just for 30 days Ramadan. After that, you can stop, because really journal helps you reflect. What am I doing right? What am I doing? What I need to improve on? Where can I get things done? Right. Number 2, review daily, at least weekly, and every 10 days. One thing that's beautiful Ramadan is divided as 10, 10, 10, right? The first 10 days are 10 days of mercy, then 10 days of forgiveness, and 10 days of salvation and hellfire. The fact it's divided into 10 days gives you a hint of almost like your review points, your touch points, your checkpoints. If those playing games, checkpoint, right? You got your checkpoint. First 10 days, checkpoint, what's happening? How can I improve? What needs to be done differently? Next 10 days, third 10 days, review them, inshallah. Things to, once you act upon your review, so do you need to update your intention list? Do you need to tweak your nutrition, your sleep routine, your exercise example? Is there apps that are distracting you? Can you delete them? Is there things you can do more to build barakah? Can you update your calendar and your routine? Like, try to see what else you can, like, make sure you're active on reflection. Don't like sit there and reflect, mashallah, I had the best 10 days, or oh my God, I had the worst 10 days, and do nothing about it. Like, make sure you do something about it. Active on your review and reflection. And inshallah, we'll be doing a Barakah Journal Challenge. For those who want to join us, we'll be doing like a public Barakah Journal Challenge where we'll be basically trying to journal every single day for 30 days, inshallah. Now, pro tip for you guys is constantly think of what you'll graduate from Ramadan with. Like, as you're going through this review, say, okay, what will I do after Ramadan? Especially with the last 10 nights, ask, like, what will I graduate Ramadan with? What's the one thing I'll take away? I don't expect yourself to be the same as Ramadan as outside Ramadan, but at least try to take something that you will continue with after Ramadan, inshallah. What habits, routines, life hacks you'll take post Ramadan. Awesome. Those were the 7 principles. So I want to ask you, before I share about the mini masterclass we have coming up, what is your main takeaway from these 7 principles, inshallah? What are the 7 principles? All right, 2, 3, 4. What's sticking? Like, what's going to be the thing? Let's be more specific. So, correct intentions. Okay, be more, don't do more. Yeah. Beautiful page, detach. You'll get all the slides. You get all the slides sent to you, inshallah. Sabrun Jameel, awesome. Seeking barakah, yes, awesome. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So a couple of things, inshallah, before we wrap up, and then I'll answer the questions in the Q&A box, inshallah. I love the fact, first of all, and again, thank you. It's amazing how you guys, I was just looking, about 200 of you have been with me for the whole webinar. And I really appreciate you coming here and just spending time and thinking through these principles. I really hope these principles give you, every time you feel almost unproductive or feel like, I don't know, come back to this principle, say, what do I need to focus on? And I hope that this really makes a difference, inshallah. For those of you, I mentioned that, we want to go deeper into Ramadan and productivity. We're hosting a 3-day live mini masterclass. So a lot of you know we do the 6-week programs, 6-week masterclasses. Well, we're going to be doing a 3-day mini live masterclass where we're going to spend some time, number one, shifting our mindset in Ramadan from a scarcity mindset to a barakah mindset, something that's very important. Number two, we'll go in much more detail on how to manage your energy through nutrition, through supplements, through sleep, nap routine, and exercise and movement. Number three, we'll go about focus and actually going to do exercises that help you manage your focus, and we'll be very, very practical with those exercises. And then also we'll help you build your suitable Ramadan routine, insha'Allah. This mini masterclass starts on Tuesday, next Tuesday at 10 a.m. for 90 minutes each day for 3 days. And it also has other things I'll talk about in a minute. But this is for those of you who want to feel like, okay, I need to kind of do almost like a crash course to feel prepared for Ramadan. Now, as I said, alhamdulillah, we are blessed as a community, as a global community, to have so many amazing programs happening. And a lot of this information nowadays also is available online. You can go into YouTube channels and you can go to so many places and find lots of these things. A lot of this stuff also you can find on Productive Muslim blog. But sometimes you just having that discipline of spending time with an instructor for 3 days can just make the difference of you actually doing this stuff versus browsing online and getting lost in the information overload, inshallah. So how it'll work into it'll be 4 things you'll get as part of this mini masterclass. Number one, you'll get 3 live sessions, just like this one. It'll be live. We're working together. It won't be webinar setting. It'll be a meeting setting. So it'll be a lot more interactive. You can, ask questions and unmute yourself. And then from Tuesday, 25th of Sha'ban till Thursday, 27th of Sha'ban, which is 29th to 31st March, and it'll be at 10 a.m. US Central Time, same time as this webinar. And you'll attend for 90 minutes each day. After each session is over, those who know me, I don't run away. I have unlimited Q&A time. I sit and answer as many questions as I can throughout this, after the session. So I don't just like walk away. I'll be there live for as long as you guys need me until you guys bored of me, basically. And then the second thing you'll get is you get lifetime access to recordings and slides. So even if I say you took this course, for some reason you're busy and you're not able to do this course, you'll get access to all the recording and slides for life. You can just download them and then basically watch them for as much as you want, and for future Ramadan as well. Number 3, we'll also have a special private newsletter that'll be sent on a weekly basis when Ramadan starts. And this is kind of like additional tips and ideas for you to maximize your productivity in Ramadan. So I might share some things that will go beyond just what we shared in the mini masterclass. And also you'll be invited to a private channel in Slack. We have a Slack community for those who know. And you're invited in a special Ramadan private channel where you'll be able to ask further questions. Maybe when Ramadan starts, you might face more challenges that you might find it very difficult for you to basically tackle as part of this masterclass. Alhamdulillah, we've done these programs in different ways of it. We had the Ramadan online course and other courses we've done. Alhamdulillah, we've had some amazing experiences with people, whether new Muslims, whether people have been fasting for 36 years and more. People have found it extremely beneficial to just sit and train themselves and prepare themselves mentally, physically, with the energy and focus and the routine, and feel like, all right, I feel like I've got the structures and the tools and the knowledge and the skills to help me have a productive Ramadan, inshallah. So you'll get 3 live sessions, and you have on this topic on managing energy, focus, and time, unlimited Q&A time after each session, weekly email messages from me, and then daily support on private Slack channel, and lifetime access to recordings and handouts. And alhamdulillah, we're actually offering it at a very affordable price at $99. So for those who want to sign up, registration is open at productivemust.com/High Performance Ramadan, inshallah. I'll be sending you more details via email as well on this. So feel free. Our capacity, because we're using the Zoom meeting room, our capacity is 100 participants. So there's about 200 of you almost here. So our capacity is 100 participants, inshallah. So if you want to join, you can register early and make sure that you are there for the 3-day mini masterclass. If for some reason you can't attend live, we can attend one of the sessions or 2 of the sessions. Like I said, don't worry. You can access the recording, inshallah, within 48 hours. We'll actually make it much more quicker than 48 hours because we want to make sure you get it before Ramadan so you feel prepared for Ramadan as well, inshallah. So I hope we see some of you, inshallah, in High Performance Ramadan. And now we have about 10 minutes to answer your questions. I'm going to open the Q&A box. Like I said, if you want to ask any questions, I'm here for 10 minutes. I promised 90 minutes. So I'll make sure I answer your question, inshallah. Inshallah. Okay. All right. Okay. So there's some questions here about, How can we have more barakah in our sleep? By Lamia Khalil. By the way, I prioritize people who put their names in the question because that's important. I think it's important that you own your question. So Lamia Khalil said, how could we have barakah in our sleep? And really, the what I say when it comes to barakah in your sleep, there's few things you can do to improve barakah in your sleep. Number one, sleep in a state of wudu, right? Try to sleep in a state of wudu. Number two, make the dua before sleeping. Number three, recite Surah Al-Mulk and Surah Al-Sajda before sleeping. Number four, be in a state of almost like saying, if I don't wake up from my sleep, what would I want to do? So you might want to forgive those who were wronged. You might want to, people have their, it's encouraged to have our wasiyah, our actual, basically our wasiyah, our what's it called? Wasiyah? I forgot what wasiyah is. What's the word for wasiyah? Gosh, for the word for wasiyah in English. Okay, have a wasiyah for under our pillow, for example. Our will. Gosh, there we go. All right, our will before we go to bed. So these are all things you can do to kind of approach sleep as almost like an act of worship. And that brings more barakah in our sleep. Also, practical things like eating early, sleeping early. These are all things which helps you bring barakah in your sleep, insha'Allah. So a lot of questions about how can we really embody these principles, because in our current result-driven society, it's so difficult to live by. Abdullah, I absolutely understand. And I think there's an element of tuba lil ghuraba. Prophet Muhammad said that we will be strangers, right? And we will mean strangers, meaning that, we live inside where we are strangers, and sometimes we'll stand out. This barakah culture sounds weird, right? Fasting for some people sounds weird. Nowadays, it's like a health fad, but fasting is for a long time, Ramadan was like a weird thing, like not even water, right? Nowadays, like dry fast and all those sorts of things. So sometimes it's just being what I call spiritually confident, that that you are embodying the last divine message to mankind, and you are basically living that. And part of the process is that you might find it difficult to fulfill that, but it's very important to kind of make that work, insha'Allah. So let's see, someone on there, somebody else. So the 30-day Barakah Journal Challenge, is this planned in Ramadan? Yes, it'll be planned in Ramadan. So the idea is that we want to encourage people. We did a survey about a few months ago after we had the 1-year anniversary since the launch of Barakah Journal. And one of the challenges we got was most people don't use the Barakah Journal daily. They want to, but they find it difficult to use daily, or they forget. So the idea of the Barakah Journal Daily Challenge is like you basically will be writing together and kind of sharing your daily intentions, daily reviews, and kind of challenge yourself to write every single day. And hopefully through that process, you'll see the benefit and you'll understand why we have a daily planning and daily review in the Barakah Journal and why that's important, insha'Allah. So we'll do the 30 Barakah Journal Challenge. And again, for those of you who don't have Barakah Journals, you can get that from our store, insha'Allah. All righty, so I'm trying to look at other questions we have. We can check the time here. Okay. All right. Regarding exams in Ramadan, we do have an article, I believe, on our website. Let me just see if I can find it, on Ramadan and exam, because we did write. There actually had somebody who wrote a very powerful article. Yeah, there you go. So we do have exams in Ramadan articles. So I'm going to share this in the chat. So hopefully that answers your question. I think Fahim has a question about Ramadan. So it has some, that should be helpful, just help you, inshallah. Okay. All right, so a question about post-Ramadan, how to carry these principles post-Ramadan. Again, a lot of it is very similar to what we have in Ramadan. What I normally recommend people do post-Ramadan is, number one, pick 2 to 3 habits that you want to graduate from Ramadan from. Like, what will you graduate from Ramadan with? You might graduate like with witr prayer, or you graduate with reciting daily, or you'll graduate with being more patient, or you'll graduate with being more generous. Like, what will you graduate with Ramadan with, and kind of stick to those, insha'Allah, and kind of, make those work, insha'Allah. All right, curbing hunger and thirst, Kiran, we'll cover that in the mini masterclass, because there's a lot of details there we can go into, like what type of food to eat and how to drink and all this stuff. So that will be covered in that mini master, insha'Allah. Managing time also be covered in the mini masterclass, insha'Allah. Okay. Regarding how to deal with early job hour shifts and trying to stay up late for Taraweeh nights, absolutely. This is where, again, a lot of us, we'll have to have almost like real negotiation with ourselves, with our family, with our boss, with those around us, saying, what do we really want out of Ramadan? And what is non-negotiable? Let's say if you say, let's say at work, it's non-negotiable that you have to go really early hours, like you have to go like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and which means that you can't stay up late at night because you have to get up early. And then based on that, that means most probably you cannot make the Taraweeh, for example. So, okay, if that's the situation, how can I work around that? Can I maybe just go Taraweeh on weekends, for example, because I can't do it in the week? Can I negotiate some days off, especially the last 10 nights? So you almost have to negotiate. I think a lot of us, we want everything. We don't want to have those negotiations, those difficult conversations. You'll have difficult conversations and you really make sure that it works out. So I hope that you do have those discussions and say, what's important? How can I work around this? And basically be practical and real about it, inshallah. Okay. Okay, so how to detach ourselves from perceptions of others. And this is something that Hafsa Adam covers in her masterclass about spiritually centered confidence, that, when you do things for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's like, Allah is enough for me. Allah yakfini, Allah is enough for me. Now, people might look at you, oh, she's taking a nap and, she's being lazy, even though nowadays studies have proven over and over again that naps are extremely productive and really helpful, much more than a cup of coffee. So people say, anyone who bashes naps, I'm like, you know what, you're wasting your time. You can send them to me, I'll give them a whole research about naps and why naps are important. But yeah, it really comes down to this idea of developing that spiritually centered confidence. I feel like as Muslims, unfortunately, we have a bit of inferiority complex. We have a bit of feeling that we are less than, or we're weird, and therefore we don't stand out. And of course, years of Islamophobia and years of kind of demeanor, we have kind of lost our confidence, versus recognizing that we are the best of nations. We have the best messages, the best final divine message to mankind. And yes, we might be doing things differently, but it's for the betterment of everybody. And sometimes being leaders and of humanity versus feeling like, we're just trying to, we're just not that important, can sometimes have these perceptions. So develop spiritual centered confidence. And again, there's if you search confidence on our blog, there's some great articles from Hafs al-Adham talks about how to develop spiritual centered confidence that can help us out. Okay. Farzana, yes, we do have articles for days. For example, sisters not fasting certain days of the month. Then yes, we have articles what you can do during those days. Again, you can search our blog. I believe. Let's see if I can find it. Maybe easier. So I can find. And what I'll do, I'll send you a link to everybody here with all sorts of resources we have in Ramadan. We have a bunch of resources for those of you who want. Let's see, I can find it. There you go. How to sustain the spirit of Ramadan during non-fasting days. There you go. So that's one for you, Farzan. I hope that helps. Let's see. So Nada, you'll get all the slides. So I hope that's okay. Just for the sake of time, you'll get all the slides. If you want our Ramadan resources, we have all our articles. If you go to productiveness.com/Ramadan, it has a list of all our resources. So there you go. You can find all resources there, inshallah. All right. Okay, so let me add a quick question. How do you manage tasks after you've planned your day? This is an important distinction. Don't get too attached to your plan. You plan, that's why I say put intention list. You plan, and then Allah plans, and Allah has the best plan. Sometimes, like example, your kid gets sick, or something pops up, or you have guests coming over, and it throws you off. Okay, like you have to almost like roll the punches. Don't get too attached. We get stressed when we're too attached to our plans. So don't get too attached to plans. That's a carpenter mindset. Become more of a gardener mindset, inshallah. All right, with that, I want to say again, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much for being with me. I hope you found this useful, beneficial. I hope that you've really developed yourself, lived a better version of yourselves. I hope to see some of you in the upcoming mini-masterclass. And I'm excited. I'm excited for Ramadan. I pray that with these 7 principles, you will feel more prepared. As promised, I will send you the recording and the slides to you, inshallah, as well as some of the resources that you asked, inshallah. And all I can say is thank you. Thank you so much. I know you have so many other things to do and you're all busy, but really spend the time with me. And I hope you find beneficial. Barakah. Please make dua for us. Make dua for the Productive Muslim Company team, for everybody who's working. This is not just a one-man show. There's a lot of people working here and making a difference. And we just want your du'as, at least for this Ramadan especially. May Allah bless you, reward you all. Jazakum Allah khair. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.